Greetings and welcome to the EnLIGHTened First Lady Show. I'm your host, Lady Cara Payne, aka K Lady Payne on all social media platforms, and I'm so excited to share with you all today. We're switching it up a little bit, and I don't have a guest, so I'm going to share with you some insight on what's been on my heart for a long time. I'm a staunch advocate of self-care, and since becoming a mom a few years ago, and now as a mom of two, I know I will have to double down and be intentional on prioritizing myself and not allowing myself to get lost in the fray of motherhood and wifehood and first ladyhood. And so I just wanted to share with you all some scriptures and some inspiration as it relates to self-care, specifically through different areas of health and well-being in terms of spiritual health, physical health, intellectual health, consumer health, and emotional health. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these aspects of health under the idea that self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. I want to urge you to consider that practicing self-care in the 5 areas of spiritual, physical, intellectual, consumer, and emotional health is not only not selfish, but it is in fact necessary and can serve to benefit those around us. I know you've heard it said, but as a wife and now again as a mother of two, the saying you can't pour from an empty cup has never been more true than it is to me today. I love my husband and my children, but if I had not made sure that my heart, soul, mind, and body were well taken care of, I cannot show up for them in the way that they need me to. So let's talk spiritual self-care first. Y'all, we must be connected to the source. God, our creator, the author and finisher of our faith, must be first and foremost in our lives. Now, I'm speaking from my lens as a Christian woman, recognizing that there may be other faith traditions listening or watching right now. Know that I honor the divine in each of you. But whatever spiritual path you are on in this physical world with all its trials and tribulations, it's hard enough. We have to set our minds and hearts on things above. Philippians 4 encourages the following: whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. When I think about those adjectives, I think about my Savior and the fact that he died so that we might have life and have that life more abundantly. And when we remain spiritually connected to the source of our joy, that's when we can truly be effective witnesses, the effective witnesses we are called to be. We can't be a witness to the next person that is down and out if our spiritual wellness is all jacked up. So what could that spiritual self-care look like? Consistent prayer, meditation, reading your holy word or sacred text, surrounding yourselves with like-minded people who are also going to pour into you, and then you may endeavor to do the same for the hurt, lost, and confused souls in our community or in your respective community. I recently lost someone that was near and dear to me, but while they were going through, I was able to encourage them, to pray with them, and in turn, I had more peace and I saw my faith increase, that I was able to be a source of comfort to those around me who were also grappling with what was going on with one of our colleagues in terms of their declining health. So I say all that to say, make sure your spiritual health is a priority and do not let complacency or the status quo or indifference allow you to feel like you don't need to keep up and in tune with the Creator. And that also includes going and finding, I mentioned the like-minded people, but finding a church home. If you're not connected to a body that is going to encourage you, to wrap their arms around you, that's going to check in when are MIA and missing in action, I just cannot stress that enough, that it's not just enough to be a member of Bedside Baptist. Get connected, go and be in fellowship because we are commanded to do so. Next, I want to talk about physical health and well-being, not being neglected. Now, I'm sure you already know how crucial this one is, but Black women specifically are disproportionately burdened by chronic conditions in this country. Conditions such as cardiovascular disease and obesity plague Black women at much larger rates than our Hispanic and white counterparts. We must prioritize taking care of our sacred bodies, our temples, my sisters and my brothers, if I have some listening. This is the only one we have, so we have to love it, honor it, and respect it. Proper diet and exercise are essential ways to maintain that physical wellness. Prioritizing water over caffeine, considering whether you really should have or need that third glass of wine. Getting active even with small decisions like using steps instead of the elevator or parking further from the public's entrance or wherever you're going so it requires some extra steps. Those are just a few small intentional things you can do now that can make all the difference later as you go through life's journey. So I just asked you today, what might you commit to today? What small acts and small changes can you implement right now today that will pay off dividends as it relates to your physical wellness? And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but when we consider it very well is a matter of life and death, I want us to have more life. I want you to have more life. And so I hope I got some amens in the atmosphere as I encourage you all. And more life is not just embodied, it's also in our minds. So we have to reject the mind body duality and see ourselves more fully, more holistically. So let's get into the mind, shall we? I want to touch on the intellectual health. Now, notice I didn't say mental health. Recognizing May, we just celebrated Mental Health Awareness Month. I decided to take a different approach to this particular topic. So let's break this one down. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines intellectual as the ability to think in a logical way. What are we doing to ensure we are approaching our passions and purpose in a logical way? Habakkuk 2:2 invites us to write the vision and make it plain. Are we writing down our goals and keeping them ever before us, putting a logical or reasonable plan in place to obtain these goals? Or are we failing to plan in the first place? We want our work as women, wives, mothers, first ladies to be intentional and executed with excellence. That can't happen when we are operating in dysfunction. Let's take the time to plan, to work together as a collective and be smart and realistic with our efforts to be change agents in our communities, recognizing that it's only what we do for Christ that will last, and it's our families who are first ministries. Let's work smarter and not harder in this season, shall we? And by planning appropriately, we are helping our mental health in the process. Improper and poor planning will undoubtedly cause unnecessary stress, which we know isn't good for our mental or physical health for that matter. Now, on to our fourth health pillar that I want to touch on, consumer health. This one isn't talked about enough, especially in the Black community or even in our churches. Save, invest. Don't just spend, spend, spend. Tithe, give that 10% back to the Lord. Now, I know we can't take it with us. Preachers love to say they've never seen a Brinks truck or a U-Haul following the hearse in a funeral procession. So let's think about generational wealth then, and how we can build a financial legacy for our loved ones that blesses one generation to the next instead of burdening them. And when we do spend, where is our money going? Research the brands you support. Do they support people that look like you? Do they hire people that look like you? Are they owned and operated by people that look like you? And speaking of Black business, in August, we will celebrate Black Business Month. And later in the year, for those who celebrate Kwanzaa in the month of December, there's a principle we celebrate called Ujamaa, which is Swahili for cooperative economics. This principle urges us to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and businesses, and profit from them together. Experts say it only takes 6 hours for the Black dollar to leave our community, whereas for the Asian community and white communities, it could be 17 days or more. Think about that when you spend your hard-earned dollars at one of these major candle corporations without considering supporting our fellow sister queens making luxurious body butters, oils, and soy candles. And yes, I'm talking to myself too. And last but certainly not least, our emotional health. Protect your peace, my sisters. Be cognizant of the things that you are watching and listening to that are being deposited in your spirit and impacting your emotional well being. Go to therapy. It's not taboo, it's helpful. You are no less a strong woman because you took the time to sit on someone's couch or Zoom in virtually and talk through your feelings and history. I'm a witness that it works. It helped me process some immense grief I experienced a few years ago. And I'm a better wife, mother, daughter, sister, employee, and friend for doing it. That's another example of why self care is not selfish. Do the important work. Take the time to do something just for you each and every day. It doesn't have to be a tropical vacation or a long massage, although please don't deny yourselves those pleasantries either. But it can just simply be 5 minutes in your car, belting out your favorite song. It can be just getting up from your desk and taking a brisk stroll around your building at work. It's awesome to be passionate about the work you're doing and the difference you're making in your community. But there's only one you. So if you're still with me, I want you to take this moment to wrap your arms around yourself and just give yourself a little squeeze and say, I love you. I appreciate this body. I am grateful for this life. Doesn't that feel good? That's self-care. It was quick. It didn't take a lot, but those warm and fuzzies just in that moment can change the outlook of your whole entire day. Take the time to love on yourself, to remember that you are beautifully and wonderfully made and that you are still here for a reason. Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary, and it will sustain the work you and the life you live as a woman of God. So thank you for listening. Until next time, be blessed and keep looking up.